So Griffen Palmer on our Pure Country Home Hangout. So for those of you who don't know Griffen, you've definitely heard some songs that you have written recently. And I've been trying to remember when we actually met.
I remember, but maybe I'll let you try to remember.
I've been trying to remember. I was like, was it at Boots or was it at Rockin' Horse?
We went to a Brent Cobb show.
Brent Cobb. Okay. Yes. I was like, I know I met you in some sort of musical setting, but then I was like, I don't really remember when that was, but it was so long ago.
Yeah, literally years ago.
Brent Cobb. Also, we went to a great concert.
It was really cool at the Horseshoe.
So, but you're not living in Toronto anymore, correct?
No, not full time. I'm in Canada right now, but I live in Nashville full time now.
Okay. Because I mean, I remembered I feel like you're kind of like this dark knight sort of man in the music industry, because I knew you were in the music industry, you were, writing and working on your thing. And then I just didn't really know what you were up to. And then all of a sudden it was like, boom, Griffen Palmer has been working a lot behind the scenes on everything and has all these crazy, exciting things. So congratulations.
Thank you.
It's awesome to see. You have such an amazing team of people around you that you've been working with. So I can't wait to see what comes as far as your artist career. But first off, we'll start with talking about, so random out of the blue, everyone's like, okay, Keith Urban's working on a record. He's, randomly dropping songs. And it was like, boom, he has this new song, Polaroid. P.S. Griffen Palmer wrote it. That's like the first big cut you've had before as a writer, right?
That was my only cut. That was my first cut anyway.
That happened before FGL, technically, right?
Yeah, I wrote that song after I first wrote what became the FGL song.
Okay.
And then I didn't really know what was going on with it. And it just so happened to come out like 3 weeks before the FGL song. So it just kind of lined up like that, but yeah.
Amazing. So Polaroid, did you guys go into the studio that day going, okay, we want to write this for Keith Urban, or did it just happen that he loved the song and ended up wanting it?
Yeah, we really had no intention that, that would ever end up with Keith Urban. It was kind of a funny write, actually. It was a 5-way write, which I had never done one before. And it was like 3 people writing, and then we added one because like someone had a friend in town, and then we just added someone else. So it was just a bunch of really cool people hanging out. And, we thought that if we don't get a song, at least it'll be a fun afternoon. Yeah. But we had this song, and immediately we all kind of thought like, whoa, this is really cool. And then luckily, Joey Moy, who ended up producing the song for Keith, got his hands on it and showed it to Keith, and he loved it. And then it all happened pretty quick after that.
So cool. I mean, getting an artist to record one of your songs as a writer, like the first one is always huge and cool no matter who it is, but for it to be Keith Urban is like, just have you taken a minute to let that soak in yet?
Yeah, it took a while. And like now if I'm on a run or something and the song comes on, I still can't believe that I wrote it. Because just like so many people that probably watch this, I went to Bud's stage like 4 different times and seen Keith. I grew up listening to Keith. And so it's like, it's just as crazy as you think it would be.
Yeah. But it's also, I feel like it shows that, if you have a passion for something, obviously you love music. We met going to a concert. I've seen you at tons of them. You love country music, but if you have a passion for something and you work hard at it, dreams can come true. Big things can happen.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those stories. It's really cool.
That's awesome. Okay. So, which also, if people have not watched the video of you doing your version of Polaroid, they should definitely do that, because that is super, super cool. I always love seeing writers put like their spin and rendition of the song, because I think there's always so many different versions that can happen, especially with 5 writers in the room.
Yeah, and the song goes through so many different like phases before it ends up in the final one that everyone gets to know, right? So like the version that I put up on YouTube is probably more like the original version, which then became the Keith version. So
yeah, definitely. Okay, so then fast forward to the show Songland, which I think is such a cool show. And it's also been really cool to see a lot of Canadians on that show, which is like show how amazing Canada is at producing talent and writers. And the country ones both Canadian writers that got it, which I think is awesome, with Madeline Merlot and then you. So you went in, I loved watching the show because I'm now married to a songwriter. So I know when they come up with like a good hook or like a title, it's like the biggest like in the world. So when you came in and said second guessing, I was like, I wonder how he's gonna like how he wrote this one. And then you performed it, and I was just like, I know if like Steven was sitting here watching this with me, he'd be like, damn, that was a good hook. Like, I wish I had a thought of that one first. And that was exactly what Shane McAnally said as he was like talking to you after the song. He's like, oh man, I'm so glad that you sang this to me. So what was that like? You know, obviously getting FGL to record it is like icing on the cake, but to have one of those amazing writers go, man, that's something I wish I had to come up with.
Yeah, that was probably like one of the biggest wins of the whole experience. Like after that moment when they gave me that feedback that, you know, they wish they had written it and they were mad that they never came up with it. Like I felt like I already won at that point. And then I just kind of got to enjoy the rest of the ride, and then them picking the song and putting it out was just the icing on the cake, like you said.
Yeah. And then, so were you going into that room performing? Because, you know, you've been writing, I know you've spent a ton of time in Nashville, like living there and in Canada, but basing yourself in Nashville, writing a lot, going and performing a song that you wrote for people that you've grown up listening to, was that nerve-wracking as can be?
Yeah, it was super nerve-wracking, but also at the same time, it was like such a crazy level of performing a song for someone that like you don't even really have time to be nervous. Like you're looking at so many faces you've just looked up for so long that like your brain kind of just shuts down and you just do the only thing you know how to do, which is like play the song.
Right.
So.
And then you got to go, so each writer, if, you know, people haven't watched Songland, what happens is there's 4 of you, you pitch your song, 3 of you get to go and actually rework your song with one of the writers that's on there. And you got to work with Shane McAnally, which is so cool. What was that like, you know, taking something that you've created and then getting to get a second set of hands and ears on it that just happens to be one of the best writers in Nashville? In country.
Yeah, it was really cool because I had already lived with that song for over a year at that point. So it was hard for me to really hear it any other way. Right. So having someone that just heard it for the first time that has all these ideas, you know, that they're not like stuck in their ways about the song, it really helped, you know, bring the song to life and just really pinpoint the FGL sound and the FGL lyrics to go into the song.
And it's cool too. I think probably, I'm not a writer, but as a learning experience too, like, you know, being open to like, hey, I've had this song forever. I've lived with it. I've performed it a bunch, but I'm willing to, you know, make tweaks to make it better. And then you learn as a songwriter in that experience in such a huge way too, which has to be super rewarding.
Yeah. I mean, when you're a songwriter trying to write songs for other people, it's like, it doesn't really matter how much you love the song or how much you think it's perfect. If they don't think they love the song or it's perfect, then, you know, the song's not going to do anything. So it was a cool experience working with like the sole focus of making this end up as an FGL song.
Yeah. And what was the feeling like? Because you guys go in, the 3 of you who've pitched songs, and then Tyler Hubbard and Brian Kelly of Florida Georgia Line are literally the ones to tell you, okay, Griffen, we're choosing your song. What went through your head when that happened?
I think you saw it on TV. I just kind of like rolled my eyes back and I couldn't believe it. It was just so surreal. And, you know, from that moment on, you know that they're going to record your song, but like a couple months goes by and you know they've been working on it, but you haven't heard anything. And so really until I heard it for the first time, I didn't even believe that it was going to happen.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I mean, yes, you know that the song's going to come out, but did you know that they were going to put it on the 6-pack EP? That they were doing?
I had no idea.
Okay, that's cool.
So I saw them just post about it on Instagram and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that's happening. Awesome.
So cool. I mean, the timing of it, obviously there was planning that went into that, but for them to go, hey, you know what, we're releasing an EP. They could have released the song with Songland and then done a separate EP, but they were like, no, this song is good enough, great enough that it has to be on our project, which is like even more of a pat on the back.
Yeah, it's cool that, you know, they thought enough of it to like package it with the stuff that they've probably been working on for a year and to really just say like, this isn't just from the show, like this is ours now. And, you know, so that was really cool to be included like that.
Yeah, so cool. Okay, so writing stuff, obviously you have been working on your craft and clearly it's going well. Congratulations on that. But you are going to be working on your own artist stuff?
Yeah, so I've just been writing a ton over the past like year and a half, and some's been going to other artists, but I've been kind of holding some back for myself too, just adding some stuff up, and hopefully I can get back to Nashville soon and get in the studio and release a project this year. Hopefully, maybe after the holidays, but yeah, I hope to get something out soon.
Nice. And also cool that you get to, stick with the Canadian roots and work with somebody like Joey Moy, who's like one of the coolest, best producers ever. Because again, like you grew up listening to country music, so you're a fan of it just as much as you are, an artist in it. So getting to go in the studio and work with, somebody like that has worked with FGL, works with Morgan Wallen, Hardy, Chris Lane, Mackenzie Porter. Is it like, do you ever have those moments where you go, is this real?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, Joey's awesome, as you know, and he's just so cool and down to earth, and he really just acts like he's your buddy. But there's sometimes when I'm sending in a song I just wrote, just texting it to him, and he loves it. And I'm like, is this like the real Joey Moy?
And he just
yeah, it is pretty crazy.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm super happy for you. I can't wait to hear, just because, obviously the songs you're writing are products of who you are too, because, you write what you know, and it's going to reflect in your artist stuff. So I'm excited even more after hearing songs like Polaroid and Second Guessing what your music is going to look like.
Yeah, it should be interesting.
Yeah, I'm like, what can you say? So I guess we can keep an eye out on your socials. You'll be hopefully when all this calms down a bit and you can travel, you can get back and work on stuff. But we're going to do a little kind of get to know you, because as you start releasing music, we'll hopefully get to know more about you that way. But what was the first song you learned to play on guitar?
Oh, man.
Sorry.
Everyone learns Smoke on the Water first. Okay. But I think probably like a Neil Young song or something like that. I remember a neighbor of mine like challenging me to learn some Neil Young song. I think it's called Needle and the Damage Done.
Okay.
I spent like days learning how to pick the song just so he could like come over the next time and I could show him. So I think that was probably one of the first ones.
That's awesome. Okay. So obviously Keith Urban and Florida Georgia Line are already crossed off the list, but who is another artist that you would love to have record one of your songs?
I've been getting this a lot. I mean, the answer I've been giving is just that, Keith Urban and FGL are probably like already in my top 3. I don't even know who the other third would be. At this point, I just hope to write like all sorts of different types of songs with all sorts of different type of artists. And, anyone that really wants to collaborate and put a song out, like that's a huge win and it's an honor. So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of keeping that open and just hope to keep writing more songs.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like Keith Urban and FGL were probably ones that were at the top of your list and you've already crossed them off. So now it's just like open doors. It's like whoever wants to get on that list, go for it.
Exactly.
What is a song you wish you wrote?
I've been playing 21 Summer by Brothers Osborne a bunch lately. I love that song. And I just figured out that Craig Wiseman, who also is at Big Loud with me, wrote that song and I had no idea. So I'm fangirling all over again.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. I always bug them whenever I interview them because they get, like their show since 21 Summer has changed a lot. So sometimes they don't play it and they get heckled for it. And they're like, we've just come to the realization that we have to play it all the time. I was like, yes, you have to. It's
that good. You should.
Yeah, you can't not. Okay. Who was your biggest inspiration growing up as far as music goes?
My dad was. My dad was always in like bar bands and stuff like that, and he's a really good singer. So every car ride, we'd be belting out songs, and I would go see his bar gigs like on the weekend, and sometimes he'd drag me along as like a 10, 11-year-old to his band rehearsals and let me bang on the drums a little bit. So yeah, he definitely supported my love for music. That's
cool. Okay, so it's been like a family passion that you've grown up with.
Yeah, forever.
Nice. Okay, obviously you know how to play guitar. What was the first instrument you learned to play?
I was forced to learn piano when I was like 5 or 6, but I didn't like it and didn't come back to the piano till I was like in high school. Okay. But the first instrument I really loved to play and like learned fully was the drums.
Oh, okay. So you're well versed in the instrument world.
Yeah.
I think I wish I had learned to play piano because I think it would be a skill that I would like to have. And we have a piano in the house and I'm like, don't put me near it. It's bad. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to try to learn piano, but are you good on the drums?
It's been a while, but I think hopefully it's like riding a bike and I'm still okay.
Okay. And last one, if you could share the stage with any person dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh man. I think John Mayer would still be my number one.
That's a
I was
great,
just such a fan, like all growing up, and so I think that'd be cool.
and he's also hilarious. So I feel like it would be a fun hang too.
I'm a bit it's one of those like don't meet your heroes things though. I don't know if I
True.
should do that if I get the chance, but yeah, it would be really cool.
I mean, I will say when I watched you guys on the show Songland, Ryan Tedder is one of my, like, I love One Republic. I think he's so awesome. And I was talking to Sean Austin about it after he was on the show. And he was like, that was one of those moments of like meeting your heroes. But Ryan Tedder was so cool and like so knowledgeable and like respectful that it was like, oh, thank God. He's super
Yeah.
cool.
No, he's just as cool and as talented as he seems on TV.
Was that intimidating at all? Because I'm like, he's unreal to me as far as like producer, writer, artist, singer.
It's one of those things where it's like intimidating until you're in the moment and you realize that all they care about is making these songs like as good as they can be, and they want you to win because they want to win with you.
Right.
So there's no like weird egos and no like we're better than you, whatever. It's just like a full on collaboration. It's really cool.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for doing this. Hopefully I'll get to see you play some music in real life at some point whenever you get to come back down to Nashville. But congrats on everything. I'm super, super happy for you. And it was nice to like reconnect finally. I was like, I feel like I haven't seen him in like 7 years, but I think it's been like maybe 2.
Probably.
Yeah, exactly.